Imagine this. You get a letter from your HOA, a demand for $150,000 in fines. For what? Your rose bush. Your mailbox. Even your garden gnomes. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But what if I told you that nightmare turned into the ultimate revenge, because it turned out they were fining them for violations on land they actually owned? Not just their house, but the entire neighborhood. Stick around, because this story of an HOA gone wild and a couple who uncovered a jaw-dropping secret is going to blow your mind. Sarah and Mark had always dreamed of a quiet life, a little slice of suburban paradise. They found it in a charming house with a perfectly manicured lawn, nestled in a community governed by the perfectly named Harmony Oaks Homeowners Association. 4 years, life was, well, harmonious. They paid their dues, kept their hedges trimmed, and waved to their neighbors. Then came the fence. Sarah and Mark wanted to build a small, decorative fence around their garden. Nothing outlandish, just a tasteful picket fence. They submitted their plans to Harmony Oaks, expecting the usual rubber stamp. Instead, they received a letter. Not just any letter, but a certified, ominous-looking envelope that felt heavy with bad news. Inside, a terse message stated their fence plans were rejected. Violation of community aesthetics. Confused, they tried to appeal. Harmony Oaks was unyielding. Their architectural review board, a trio of seemingly humorless individuals, cited obscure bylaws and vaguely threatening penalties. Sarah and Mark, frustrated but not wanting to cause trouble, dropped the fence idea. A few months later, another letter arrived. This one wasn't about a fence. This was about their prize-winning rose bush. Apparently, it was overgrown and obstructing the sidewalk. They were fined $500. Then came the notice about their mailbox being non-compliant. Another $750 fine. The fines escalated, each one more bewildering than the last. Untamed wild grass, it was a patch of wildflowers. Improperly colored shutters, they were the original color. Unapproved garden gnomes, a gift from Mark's mother. The total started to climb. $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. Sarah and Mark were beside themselves. They attended HOA meetings, only to be met with icy stares and dismissive hand waves. Rules are rules, the board president, a stern woman named Mrs. Henderson, would declare, her voice dripping with self-importance. The other residents, it seemed, were too intimidated to speak up. Then came the final, devastating blow. A letter informing them they had accumulated $150,000 in fines. $150,000. 4 rose bushes and garden gnomes. The letter threatened foreclosure if the fines weren't paid within 30 days. Sarah and Mark felt their dream house slipping through their fingers. "This is insane," Mark seethed, pacing their living room. "There has to be something we can do." "We need a lawyer," Sarah said, her voice trembling. Their lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Brenda, listened patiently to their tale of woe. She asked for all the documentation, every letter, every bylaw, every invoice. Days later, she called them. Her voice was calm, but there was an unmistakable hint of suppressed excitement. "Sarah, Mark," Brenda began, "I think I found something rather interesting." Brenda explained that when their property was originally parceled out decades ago, there was a legal quirk. A significant portion of the land that Harmony Oaks claimed as common property, including the community clubhouse, the pool, the main entrance, and even the road leading into the neighborhood, was never properly transferred out of their specific lot's legal description. Due to an ancient surveying error and subsequent overlooked paperwork, their deed, though it described a house and a normal-sized lot, technically included the vast majority of the common areas of Harmony Oaks. "You mean, we own it?" Mark whispered, his mind reeling. "Legally, yes," Brenda confirmed. "You own the land beneath the clubhouse, the pool, the playground. You own the entrance gates. You own the roads. You own the very land that Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning petunias are planted on, if they're in the common area." Sarah and Mark stared at each other, a slow, incredulous smile spreading across their faces. The Harmony Oaks Homeowners Association had been fining them for violations on their own land. Land they legally owned, land that the HOA had no right to dictate rules over, let alone fine them for. "So," Sarah said, a mischievous glint in her eye, About those $150,000 in fines. Brenda chuckled. Let's just say, Harmony Oaks is about to have a very, very bad day. The next HOA meeting was legendary. Sarah and Mark, accompanied by Brenda, walked in to find the usual smug faces of the board members. Mrs. Henderson began her usual tirade about overdue fines, singling out Sarah and Mark. Perhaps, Brenda interrupted, her voice cutting through the room, Mrs. Henderson should explain why she's fining my clients for activities on their own property. The room fell silent. Brenda then unveiled the meticulously researched legal documents, complete with original land deeds and surveyor's maps. The faces of the board members went from smug to pale, then to an alarming shade of green. It turned out the $150,000 in fines was now Harmony Oaks' problem. Not only did they have to void every single fine, but Sarah and Mark were in a position to charge the HOA for years of unauthorized use of their land. The tables had not just turned, they had been utterly obliterated. The story of Sarah and Mark, who went from being victims of an overzealous HOA to accidental landlords of an entire neighborhood, spread like wildfire. The HOA board was swiftly dissolved, Mrs. Henderson moved to a different state, and a new, much more reasonable association was formed, this time with Sarah and Mark on the board. And as for that decorative garden fence, it was the first thing they built, a quiet testament to the day they discovered they owned their entire neighborhood. And those garden gnomes? They multiplied. And that's the unbelievable story of Sarah and Mark, who went from HOA victims to accidental neighborhood overlords. If this tale of sweet, sweet revenge and a mind-boggling property discovery kept you on the edge of your seat, then make sure to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Let us know in the comments below, what's the craziest HOA story you've ever heard? We'll see you in the next one.